Hello, this is Brett Toasty. I'm the project leader for Battle for Naboo. Today, we're just going to talk about different elements in the game, and I have with me Duncan Brown and Holger Schmidt. Duncan Brown is the lead level designer, and Holger Schmidt is the lead programmer. And we're just going to start talking about various elements of the game.
This is the first level of the game. We start out with droid starfighters flying over the city, trying to recapture sort of the general character of the introduction to the movie when the Trade Federation is beginning its invasion. You see Gavin Sykes, our hero, driving through the city streets.
Trying desperately to escape the onslaught of the Trade Federation as it comes in.
That's basically the idea of this level, that we start out with the invasion of Seed, and pretty soon the Queen will escape, but you have to make your own escape from the city.
This first arena was specifically designed as like a larger open space where we could introduce droidicus for the first time and have some fun shooting at them.
Yeah, one of the ideas with Theed was we all watched the movie and we saw the droidekas, and the droidekas were, in my opinion, one of the fiercest enemies, because even the Jedi Knight couldn't defeat them. They actually ran away from the droidekas. So we were thinking, what a great enemy to have and be able to see up close. And one of the things when we were working on Rogue Squadron is you were always flying around, and we had some great detail, but you oftentimes couldn't see things up close. And so we wanted to create a level where you could see the droidekas rolling down the street, you could hear them, and then they would deploy, and you'd see the shield come up around it, and they would just start blasting the hell out of you. And we just thought that would be just one of the really cool elements of Theed.
Actually, we started out this level as kind of an empty height map, as an empty environment, because Rogue was landscape based, and placed buildings on that, but we quickly discovered that was not the right way to go, and basically rewrote the engine to handle cities and do this kind of city level. And then the first go, I think, was a little bit too tight. It was more like a maze kind of level, and because the engine basically is that it's more like a maze engine, an indoors engine, we had to turn it into an outdoors engine. And so over the process of development, we widened up the levels. They became more open.
This is KMDO, Naboo Public Radio.
Singing, Chris. No singing.
It's not easy being green, being the color of the grass. Thank you.
You will edit this, I hope.
Yeah, for the run.
Yeah, thank God. Okay, level 2. I have Chris Cly here. He originally started the level, and Sheng Zhu. Sheng Dongzu. Excuse me. And they will tell you a little bit about farmlands.
Well, basically, we wanted to give the player an idea of what might exist in the hills beyond Theed. So we thought, it would be natural to put some farmers out there, some small settlements and such, and they have. Oh, forget it. I don't know. I hate this.
You could stop talking.
I don't want to talk anymore. Let me give you over to.
No, you're doing fine.
I'm not doing fine. That's the whole point. One thing I like about this level is I just like the whole progression from level 1 through this one to level 3, where you really have this feeling that you're up against overwhelming odds. You really aren't beginning the game here on offense. I mean, basically you're running for your life, so that you hopefully can come back and in greater numbers to with stronger force to drive off the Trade Federation. Okay.
Sheng, you want to talk more about maybe some of the ideas of your first combat area?
Okay, basically first combat area is a small village, then second combat area will be the silo, but the main objective there is not really protecting the whole silo, but more likely is make sure Captain is in a good condition traveling through the farmland. Then the main action chasing area actually is right after the silo area. Will be like about less than 30 seconds chasing, fast speed chasing. Once you pass that, it will be a big battle area, is like a windmill farmhouse. That's the most dangerous area. After that, it's kind of like a take it easy, relax, listen to the music, enjoy the trip.
We have nothing interesting to say. I just realized this.
Lieutenant Sykes, incoming snaps.
Okay, level 3. Sheng was also the level designer for level 3, and this level evolved quite a bit. All we really knew was we saw some portions of the movie where we saw the Gungans at their sacred place in the swamps, but we needed to elaborate on the swamps. We knew that Naboo was a wet planet.
Well, being from Germany, of course, we know a lot about rain.
Yeah.
This is actually kind of the progression of levels. The first 3 levels you see is we thought, okay, we have to offer the game player something different than we did in Rogue. So we started out with this city level on a driving vehicle. Next was the farmlands, which is again a landscape, wide open area level, which was a vastly improved engine from Rogue. And then you come into the 3rd level, which is your first regular flying level, where you get similar gameplay that's very similar to Rogue. Proven concept, and it's just plain fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the first 3 levels we're trying to teach you 3 different aspects of the game. The first level being ground in a city to city, street to street fighting. The second level being almost flying, but it's hovering. It feels different. It's somewhere between ground and flying. And then the 3rd level being just a training. So all 3 of these missions are actually sort of training missions, so they're not too difficult.
You shouldn't underestimate also that the sound environment plays a big role in this level. You have the background thunders and gives you kind of a rainy atmosphere.
Oh, that's quite true. I mean, if you listen, there's very subtle ambient sounds of the special effects of the rain, of the whole feel of the level, from the music to the sound effects to the way that the objects look, to the sky. Everything comes together to make it feel like it's you're in the swamp.
Where's my fish?
Where is it?
It's a big goober fish is what it is.
Because the heavy polluted environment in Naboo, so the water is no longer transparency. All the fishes.
I never saw the fish.
He's somewhere.
Captain, one of my best men, Ved Davis.
The 4th level in the game, this is sort of a change of chapter in the story, because for the first 3 levels you are running away from the Trade Federation. On this level, you get an opportunity to rescue somebody that potentially is going to ally to your cause. So really this is in a way the beginning of a new chapter where you're gathering together allies rather than running away from the Trade Federation. And John Silke was the level designer for this level, and he can give you some background information of how maybe this level evolved and changed.
Right, originally you're just supposed to be heading off into the mountains looking for the smuggler that you were informed was sort of camped out up towards the mountains. You come along shortly after finding more people that are under attack, and you're trying to do what you can to help rescue them in your search. Most of the planet, of course, is being decimated by the Trade Federation, but you have this strange desire to, of course, help, even though it may be somewhat fruitless.
What about this, the first area is you can give people a little player tip of, if people haven't already discovered it.
Oh, the first homestead that you come to that you've asked your captain to help protect, if you do finally save the homestead, the person that lives in the house will go to his garage and get his speeder. If you happen to rescue the speeder and follow the speeder to his other farming area, then that's where you will get a power-up.
Yeah, he basically activates his little garage door opener, opens the gate for you to get your power-up. Of course, if you're seeing this cheat, you've probably already figured out every single power-up in the entire game, so but if you haven't, check it out. It's kind of a cool little event. Yeah, I mentioned it in the last level that both sound and music help give an atmosphere to the game. We have with us Chris Holzbeck, and he designed a lot of the original music. Obviously, we tried to recreate a lot of the John Williams music, and it was Chris's responsibility to do that, but he also created a lot of original pieces. Chris, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about the music here?
Yeah, well, I specifically chose level 4 because that was one of the levels where I really composed my own tracks to the action. And there are about 4 or 5 pieces in the level, and they all are based on kind of the same theme. or something, there's for example, if you meet the ally, the smuggler, the music changes and but still retains the feel of the first track that you hear when you come into the level for the first time. But it has a specific theme for the smuggler that comes in then. And there's also a lot of interactivity going on when you enter an area where you have to fight, for example, at that homestead. Then the music changes and things like that to make the soundtrack a little bit more exciting.
There's some little Easter eggs on this level. If you haven't noticed, we actually have the pico birds flying around, just to try to give the atmosphere. This is a very lush planet, and you can, if you wanted to, you could actually even shoot down those birds. Sometimes the Trade Federation, early on,
early on we had a bug where all the different characters either were enemy or friendly. We had no civilian, so the staffs that were flying around on the roadway would actually shoot down the birds, and you actually see this big ball of flame come flying down and hit the ground. It was pretty nasty. Poor little innocent birds just getting shot out of the sky.
It's the only game with flaming birds. Everything has to blow up.
I'm sure players are now going to try and shoot down birds.
The idea with level 5 was to really get a progression of going from the city to the farmlands to the swamps, and then up into the mountains, and eventually to a really cold and frigid region. I want to introduce Julian Egebrecht. He is the president of Factor 5 and also the producer of Battle for Naboo from the Factor 5 side, and tell a little bit about controls and things.
I will do that, yeah. I'm taking place more or less for our main control programmer, which was who was Mike Keith, because Mike isn't around here. And one of the approaches we took was that for the flight levels, of course, since Rogue Squadron was such a great success, Mike started out by simply taking that control and plugging it into our new engine and into our new environments. And taking it from there, the more interesting stuff, of course, were the groundcraft, because it is relatively easy, at least especially if you've done Rogue before, to do the flightcraft, but the groundcraft asked for realistically hovering speeders, which should feel good in both the city environments and on the landscapes. And there was a lot of tweaking going on in actually real physics. The trickiest part for definitely was the water control, because the watercraft, our ideal was to get a relatively realistic water bobbing up and down, coupled with real playability, which in shoot 'em up terms isn't that easy to get, because as soon as you get that realistic water feel, you also have a real problem aiming. So that was a very fine balance to be found, and we tweaked and tweaked and tweaked endlessly. What came into play there very well was that we set up an amount of physics items, basically, which everybody on the team, but mostly Brett and the level designers also could play around with to tweak the controls. Somebody who really wanted who had good ideas to tweak the controls just right, could access it and then basically play with the numbers and make all of the little physics items feel exactly right, and we hope it came across well. Maybe the snow in this level once again came over from Indiana Jones. Courtesy of Indiana Jones, because in Indy we had two levels actually, in a sanctuary and a river, where basically we needed snow effects, they just by pure luck also fit this level pretty well.
It was all planned that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this is something we actually didn't want to do too much on Rogue Squadron. We wanted to do a terrain-based game on Rogue Squadron and really show off ground-based combat. Everybody always said in Rogue Squadron, geez, we wish it was in space, but really it was by design. We didn't want to do space. But this time around, we realized a lot of the customers do want to go up and fly in space. You see it in the movies, but we wanted to have all the combat to stay around Naboo. So we really thought of ways in which we could incorporate at least a couple space levels around the planet of Naboo and give the players what they wanted, which was just all-out, free-for-all, chaos, space battle. I have with me me here, Reed Derleth, and he is a person that designed and created level 7, actually level 6 in the game.
Yeah, it really was designed to be pretty much a dogfighting level. Just you have a basic structure, which is killing the shield generators, and you're supposed to be set upon by starfighters, and they actually follow you around the level, and they're pretty smart about where to go. If you decide to focus on the different comm stats, then they'll chain off under in different ways and follow you around.
Well, there was on level 6, what we did is the whole idea here was to disrupt the whole Trade Federation's communication on sort of the backside of the planet, because in the movie we see the droid control ship, it really controls all of the droids, or at least it turns them on and off. So we thought, hey, if we had like a relay satellite on the backside of the planet, and if we knocked this thing out, we could later go back down to the planet and really stick it to them. This is a different chapter sort of in the game. This is where you're really starting to stick it to the Trade Federation. Up until this point, for the first 5 levels, you were destroying them somewhat, but this level is just a free-for-all. We're going to destroy everything that is the Trade Federation's.
A little pro tip about the CommSat: when you destroy the turrets, each of the missile turrets actually damages the CommSat for about twice the cost of the damage of the missile turrets, so you're advised to take those out first, and then you only have a little bit left to go on the main CommSat to finish the level.
And of course, on the art side, I mean, the planet was quite a challenge to get a really nice looking planet there. We did a lot of reiterations of trying to get it to look just right and get the correct stratosphere effect down below. And
a lot of credit goes to Molly Mendoza for pulling off the texture of the planet. Who did the rotation on the satellites? Jens did that?
Yep.
That really added a lot. It was great.
Yes, Jens did a lot of our special effects, explosions and rotations and things like this. Okay, level 7. Level 7 again. What we were going for was really icy icebergs. Again, a really different type of look than what we've seen in most games. Seems like most games do nice rolling snow or something boring. What we really wanted was to feel like you were maybe up in Alaska, and a different type of feel. And this is also a continuation off of the space level, because the space level you've broken down the satellite. Now this base is temporarily disabled. Michael Licht here was the level designer here. Actually, it was sort of challenging because he took this level over from another level designer. So this is definitely was sort of a challenge for him. You want to talk a little bit about the level?
Sure. Essentially, I think level 7 was a chance for the player for the first time to really cut loose. So a lot of the levels are very structured and rigid in their events and in their activities. And this is one of the few that really allows you to sort of just blast whatever's in sight, and I think it's a good chance for a player to kind of cut loose a little bit. I try to encourage the player to stay with his wingman, and if he goes off too far, there are punishments, of course, but with the amount of turrets and mines and everything else you're going to run into this level, it's a really good idea to play with your wingman, follow them through. They know the way to get to the end of this level. And also because it's such a non-linear level, you can get lost for a long time. So stick with your wingman and fight with them, and I think you'll have a really good time on this one. So also keep your eyes open there is a fun little bonus on this one. Like I said, feel free to blow up whatever you find, because you can only get more and more points for it, and eventually you'll find a pretty hardy bonus and some exciting stuff towards the end of this level. And one helpful tip: always go for the missile turrets first, because they will certainly go for you first.
Level 8 in the game, this is the first introduction of a water-based craft, and this gave us new challenges, but we really wanted to have air, ground, and water vehicles. So we decided to have this sort of trek up the river to eventually free the prisoners in the prison camps. John File here was the lead level designer for this level, and he can tell you a little bit of backstory.
Brett approached me about this level, and he said that he wanted a spooky feeling about it, that he wanted it to remind him of Apocalypse Now. And I tried really hard to do that. I knew that I wanted it to be very dark, and so we worked very hard to get the lighting in so that it was very spooky and very dark. And to further the spooky feeling. Right now, you won't be hearing any music, just background noises. So if you're listening to the music right now, you're actually not listening to music right now. It's just crickets, thanks to our master sound man, Rudy. Some of the things that I noticed when we were first building this level was that the gunboat is slightly unwieldy. It's big, it's a big armored vehicle in the river, and so I realized that the gameplay for this boat was kind of hard when you're rushing around trying to fire at things. It's very hard to aim it and turn and move around in the water all at once. But when you stop it and you use it as pretty much a mobile turret, that's when its true strengths come around. Once you get to the first lake, some people have a hard time with this part because it feels like 1,000 things are firing at you at once. There's bombers bombing and mines floating and lasers shooting, and one of the secrets that you've probably found out by now is the fact that if you don't shoot any bombers on the way through the lake, you won't wake up the camp. The level right now takes me around 10 minutes to do. I usually get bronzes or silvers. I'm pretty much kind of lackadaisical when it comes to playing this level. One of the things that people like about this level is the fact that you're not actually guarding anybody while you're playing it. You are trying to free prisoners, but this is one of those special levels where you're not trying to help a convoy somewhere or escort somebody someplace. It's basically just destroy the heck out of everything you see and you win.
One element that I really like on this level is the mines that when you're going up the river, and actually even in the lakes, you'll see some of these mines. And these mines the idea with the mines was that they actually have a magnetism to the player, and so you'll see that they start drawing toward the player.
Once again, the sound for the mines is very, very cool, where it finally catches you with its magnetism. You can hear them coming up at you. And sometimes those mines will follow you around, and that's a pretty scary experience when a mine is locked onto you and is starting to follow you down the river. I like this level a lot.
Yes, of course he does.
Well, I like it just not only because I have a huge ego, but because the gameplay in it is so much different than previous levels where you are in action at all times.
Level 9, right after you freed the prisoners at the end of the river, you continue to escort them up the river into Jeff's level. This is also Jeff Jones' second level of the game. I'm going to give a little bit of
First level of the game.
Oh, yes, it is his first level. It's my mistake. This is Jeff Jones' first level of the game, and he can give you a little bit of insight to maybe how this level evolved and how it's changed through the evolution.
Well, one of the things I wanted to show here was the Trade Federation really doing some damage. You don't see that in the movie, but you can imagine they would go through and really kick some butt when they're provoked, and try to pull that off with the town. Another thing that interested me about the level was the idea of doing a chase up the canyons. When I lived in Colorado, I used to imagine ships flying up the canyon on Highway 6 from Golden into the mountains, which I frequented as I was going skiing. Somewhere in the level you'll find Devil's Tower from Wyoming. That's something I'm trying to put into every game I work on. You'll see it in Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. It's in the bonus level, Return to Peru. Funny thing, as we were working on this level, the boats, as they are trapped on the lake, would talk way too much as they were taking damage and say, "We're Wounded Nunes here," way too many times, and "We're taking heavy fire," but we got that toned down. Hopefully it sounds about right to you.
Well, if I was about to talk about AI or basic design philosophy behind this game, it kind of takes me back to the sandbox battles. I guess everybody fought in their sandbox with the little starfighters and the little X-Wings back when Star Wars was out, and you kind of do a choreography of your own battle, and of course you always win, and I think that's how a lot of the level design was done, choreographing their own epic battle.
This level is really a sort of a transition level too, and as you'll see throughout our entire game, we have we try to have transitions between our different environments, where one level leaves off, the next level picks up. This level really accomplishes a lot of things. It starts off in the water. You quickly go up, you go onto the land, and then from going onto the land, you slowly start rising up into the hills to eventually get up into ruins, which we thought, when we saw the movie, we said, wow, there's these ancient ruins that the Gungans are using to take refuge in against the Trade Federation. And we thought, there's obviously this ancient civilization that existed probably before the Gungans or the Naboo. I don't think either one of them know exactly who are these people that built these ancient ruins. And we thought, wow, it would be really cool to have the Naboo citizens eventually get to some other ruins up in the mountains. And so that's how this level concludes. And that was some of the thinking behind of having these ruins back there. Okay, here is level 10, and this is another one of Don's levels, and I'll let Don and Holder give you basic facts about the levels and give some insights, some basic facts.
All right, well, the basic premise of the level is you started out in the last level hearing from a pilot that has just returned that your captain has gone down. The main thing is that you are to go and locate where he is and try and rescue him. Along the way, you will run into more Trade Federation that is, of course, pillaging and plundering your planet, and you eventually will run across a mining operation that is actually being controlled by your smuggler, and that you had no idea of this operation that was actually running. It is currently under attack by the Trade Federation, and your first priority is to get him out of trouble, because of course he was with your captain when he went down, so you need to get the information of how to find your captain.
I am going to chime in here a little bit. This is the first opportunity that you see that the smugglers may have had another motivation to allying with you, that basically they also wanted to steal some of the resources on Naboo, not just the Trade Federation. And so all along you were duped a little bit by them, by thinking that they would actually help you. And of course, the smugglers the boss of the smugglers is a Hutt, and Hutts, we all know, they're gangsters, they're criminals, and we allied with criminals because we thought they would help us throughout the game, and you really see that they're excavating, they're taking the ancient ruins and using them for themselves, and on this level you have no idea what's happened to your captain, and you quickly discover what his fate is.
Well, it shows you that there's only one honest smuggler, and that's Han Solo.
Eventually, while you're in the mining operation, you will rescue the smuggler's operation from the Trade Federation, and of course when you ask for his help, he is all of a sudden no longer quite as receptive to giving you help. His priorities have changed, and now you are no longer his buddy. At this point, you ask for information, he refuses to give it to you, and you decide you want to get the information by force. In the meantime, he is trying to steal crystals that it turns out will actually can be used as a great power source. If you enter the mining operation, you will actually find that it helps power your shields and give you some extra life and fighting while he is trying to pillage the planet.
I noticed there's a lot of shooting in this game. And there's some very fine voice acting at the end.
Okay, level 11 is another level that John worked on, and we also have Thomas Engel here that doing a whole variety of tasks, including a lot of the sound effect implementations and other things, so welcome.
Hi there, hope you enjoy the cheat.
Alright, this level is basically a boss level. You're going around trying to defeat the evil Borvo the Hutt because you found out that he is actually stealing prisoners from the Trade Federation and turning them into slaves. Some of the difficulties that we had when we were designing this level was to give the player a good sense of being right in the middle of a chaotic dogfight. And I think that we've done a pretty good job about this.
Actually, they gave us, the level designer status gave us a pretty hard job adding sound effects to all this. There's much more even than in earlier games. We have, dogfight situations, lots of engines going off and lots of lasers flying around. There are other places in the game too, and quite a bit of stress on little N64.
Right. It's a pretty good job, though. The sounds sound very good. Though the whining of the smuggler ships as they pass over you and around you and through you and as you explode is very compelling, very realistic. It really adds to the excitement of the level.
Actually, just the fact that you can hear all of the different, there's so many different sounds that you're hearing. I mean, you're hearing the lasers, you're hearing engines, you're hearing the lasers as they whiz by your head, you're hearing, if you're shooting down an enemy, you're hearing that. And sometimes you're hearing all of those things simultaneously.
Along with music.
Yeah, along with music and everything else.
Yeah.
Definitely quite a task.
Right.
Yeah, it's really just turn down the volume, of course, after this commentary is over, and just play it without sound. It really is not that enjoyable at all anymore.
As we can see from playing this silent in front of us.
Yeah. Actually, since you guys don't need to get the sound twice.
In fact, when most people see this level, the first word out of their mouth is green. So,
yeah, it's green.
It's green. It's very green. But I think that it packs a lot of excitement for the bug. It's not easy being green.
Level 12. Michael Licht was the level designer, but we also have Sigmund's back and Brian Kruger's here. You guys can talk about the level, talk about programming, whatever you want.
I started out with one basic notion, was that we had to find this ever elusive Camp 4, and we only briefly hear about it in the movie. We never actually see. We don't really know what goes on in it, so it left a lot open for design. My initial thought was that it was just going to be a standard prison camp, and you went up and you have guard towers and what have you, and then I got into a sort of ecological mood, and I thought, well, what if not only is it a prison camp, but it's also sort of a labor camp, and they're stripping the planet of their resources, and they're using the Nabooians as slaves, whatever. So the first half of the level, I came up with an idea of sort of this journey to find the prison camp rather than just stumbling right on it. And so we have a lot of, you'll notice in the first part of the level there isn't even a pointer to even show you where to go. It really is, it's just an open adventure here. Probably the only time in the game where there's no pointer. You stumble on all these activities, and your wingmen are going, look what they're doing here, and look what they're doing there, and it gives you a chance to really roam free for a while here and really and search, you know. There's a lot of things that get in your way, and a lot of great ways to get points into safe friendlies and such. So my recommendation on the first half of this level is stick by your wingmen, because they do know the best route, and they do know where all the friendlies are to be saved. And listen for the cues, because farmhouses will be attacked, and people will be screaming for bloody mercy all over the level. So when you hear something happen, keep your ears open and go for it. And if you can save a farm or two, it'll definitely help your final score, because there's a big cumulative friendly save at the end of this level.
On a technical level, this is the biggest level in the game. It's actually 2 levels. It was designed in 2 different pieces. So there's this first piece where you find the camp, and then you'll notice a pause in the middle of the middle of the level in the cutscene, and then you're playing the rest of the level, which is the actual prison camp itself. And there's an awful lot going on in the prison camp with lighting. You'll see a lot of shadows underneath the walls. You'll see searchlights. Quite a bit of special effects in this level, and from a technical standpoint, one of the more difficult challenges.
This is also a quite typical traditional height map level, where one thing we wanted to improve on from Rogue was the draw distance, and one way to achieve that was to have the textures paid off in the distance and go into a more cheap, gross shaded version of the height map as you are far away. Yeah, one thing about the height map, there is, I need to say this about the height map, and that is waka wa. So,
which is Norwegian for excellent. Well, you can see in this level we are pulling the old programming trick that we make the level a little bit darker so you can see the light, because if you have a broad daylight kind of scenario, you won't see any light. So this level shows you nicely how the lasers reflect on the landscape and light the surroundings.
Okay, this level was also designed by Michael Licht, and I should say that although I've been very generous in giving everybody credit for the design, I also came up with a lot of the design for these levels. I have to, you know.
Brett is always very modest.
I have to toot my own horn occasionally. But Thomas is still here with us, and Holger's here with us. Maybe we can get a little bit more of the technical aspects of sounds and special effects and...
Oh, you want to know trade secrets here.
Yeah. Pretty funny if you would have seen this game, I think about 2 months before we were done, you'd say, oh, this is boring, nothing is happening. Because basically the whole AI and the whole gameplay was there, but we didn't have any special effects. And they just add so much to a game. Having special effects, having explosions and having sounds attributed to everything adds so much to a game.
Jens would probably kill me for mentioning his name, but yes, Jens did most of the effects programming in terms of graphical effects. He's unfortunately busy right now, so not with us. But yeah, really, Holger said a very true thing there. It's just amazing, especially for shooters and this kind of scenery, what effects actually do to the whole thing. Added, of course, cutscenes and all that kind of movie type setting that you have. Actually, time's pretty tricky to achieve this. Well, N64 software by now is a couple of years old, and people are used to a lot of visuals in the TV and in the movies especially. So yeah, it's a pretty high mark to get to.
It's definitely a collaboration between level design, you know, the AI, the sound effects, the music, the cutscenes. They all have to, you know, and all the artwork, they all have to come together to give an impression that you're actually at the location that you're playing the game. If you're playing Battle for Naboo and you're leaning sideways as you're turning the vehicles, or if you're flinching when the explosion happens and you're crashing to the ground, then we've done our job, and you're feeling, at least for a moment, like you're actually inside the game system.
Just be sure to hook it up to Dolby Surround amplifier. This is really quite nice if you have the things zipping around you, not just in front of you.
Go ahead.
Just a few comments about the gameplay design in this level. This level really is a timing issue, and it's important to sort of get a move on here, especially in the beginning, because if you waste too much time, and like the level says, you're supposed to stop this convoy from reaching this destination, and then if you don't get there in time and they make it past a certain point, then you lose. So it's not a timer, but there is this convoy that's going to make it to the end. So get a move on, fight your way through the mines and everything else, and then also take note that you're not in a fighter here. This isn't about dogfighting. This isn't about, you know, strafing areas with gunfire. Matter of fact, this thing's pretty slow and it doesn't shoot very fast. Use your bombs. Make sure, like all the levels, blow up as much as you can. You'll be surprised at what is actually blowable on this level. And also use the bomb wisely.
Is blowable a word?
Can we edit that part out?
Oh no! The blow-upable part has to stay. We're going to send it to your 3rd grade English teacher and say,
Look, he invented the
what's the past tense of blow up, or what is the... I don't even know.
Now we should stop the online commentary because everybody ran out of ideas.
Oh dear.
okay, you've waited the entire game for this level. This is the level where you finally get to come back to Theed and wreak havoc. And this is also a Reed Dareless level.
Level is essentially, logically, there's no reason that you shouldn't be running away also from this level, because it's still taken over by the Trade Federation. They still have a lot more troops than you, so...
But now you have more firepower and friends.
You have more firepower, but you also got a goal in mind, and that's to get to the other end, and run and gun and kill as many things as possible, and confuse the Trade Federation. You're not here to kick them out personally, you're here to get to the other end and get the pilots to the hangar.
Probably just got noticed that the princess is back in Yashi.
Exactly, the whole...
That's just my theory.
The whole level...
Save the princess, that's the principle.
Save the princess. This is the level.
Oh, yeah.
The whole level leads up to what is... The final point of the level is supposed to be the movie scene, where you blow up a tank like they do in the movie, and the Panaka and the Jedi and the princess can run inside the hangar, and they can then lead you to the next level. The levels was inspired by a few things. The design was inspired firstly by Duncan Brown's level 1, his earlier Theed level, which taught me a lot about how to stack the buildings and that, but also by a visit I took to Venice in April, and the Riverside stuff has a touch of Venice. If you've been to Venice, you won't say, that looks like Venice, but maybe you'll get a sense of that it's kind of close, that it's inspired by it.
I was in Venice as a little child.
Much like Anakin.
Yeah, I remember getting sick on spaghetti.
All the new personal stories.
Yeah, really good ice cream.
Gelato.
Oh,
Gelato.
the sure they have.
Yes. Visit Venice.
I
It looks like feed.
It's gonna look, it looks a lot like feed. Actually, the feed in the movie was based a lot on Venice. That was one of like 3 principal cities that they used for their inspiration. Unfortunately, I forgot the other 2. But
I bet it was Cologne.
Cologne, yeah.
Of course, the cathedral in the movie.
One thing we decided just made for good fun gameplay was that pretty much everything can get blown up. The bushes, the trees, the pots, and initially things weren't all blow-upable.
There it is. That's the key theme. The secret word for today is blow-upable. The final level of our game, or at least the final regular level of our game. If you haven't earned it already, we do have some bonuses and secrets. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but earn them, play those levels, get those medals, and you will see bonuses. If you do not do that, this is your final level, and Jeff Jones was the level designer of our final level 15. Jeff, you want to maybe talk about some of the many challenges of this level? And certainly feel free to chime in here, Holger, with some of the technical problems of displaying one of the biggest objects I've ever seen on the N64.
It's big. It's very big.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that it couldn't be done, and I'm really impressed that we got it in there. A lot of credit goes to Holger for getting that in.
It's big.
Some advice I got from a level designer over at LucasArts was never do the last level in a game, and unfortunately I didn't listen. It's quite a challenge. But anyway, the first half of this level is just pure dogfighting, which is really tough in space with nothing to keep the player in any given area, not even satellites. But we got it sort of working, and it's definitely challenging. The second half, where you fight the droid control ship, was really challenging because we wanted to be true to the movie. If you're not true to the movie, then why bother doing a game about the movie? But we also wanted to give the player something to do, and in the movie, he didn't really do much. Anakin did all the work.
Or so it seemed.
Or so it seemed, yes. So we came up with some objectives. We understand from the technical specifications that this droid control ship has tractor beams, and we figure while you weren't watching, those beams were actually on in the movie and causing some trouble. So you have to shoot those, or else Anakin can't fly into the droid control ship. There are 4 of them, and we take one of them out for you in a cutscene to show you exactly what to do, since they're not easily distinguishable on the surface of the ship. And then after you've done that, you take out the shield generator, which is on the back of the ship, sort of where the neck meets the ring. And the idea there is that the shield generator protects both, the shields protect both the ship itself on the outside, but also on the inside. And once you take the shields down, the player is thinking, or the character is thinking, that he can now start shooting the ship, but instead Anakin blows it up from the inside because its insides are no longer shielded.
So he really just got lucky.
He really, well, he had some help.
Well,
yes, he got lucky.
And he had the Force.
And the Force, the midi-chlorians. Anything you want to add to that?
It's big.
Size has its problems on N64.
Size does matter.
Indeed. And wider is not necessarily better.
And I had a lot of help on this level from my dog Sammy, who came in on the weekends and helped me fix bugs.
Licked his feet while he was...
Barked at Shin and Brett.
Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the game. We enjoyed making it for you guys, and you may want to add anything?
Thank you for listening to our comments. I want to thank my parents for giving birth to me, and this is for everyone out there. Thank you.
No, there is no big audience here. You won't get a golden little guy.
Well, someday I will.